most of our military members don't like sales. Otis, can you tell me? It was interesting to find that, sales was scary. They would rather jump out of perfectly good airplanes than to go into a networking event with a bunch of strangers.
Hey, welcome to 10X Your Team with Cam and Otis. We're a father-son leadership podcast where we talk with other lifelong learners about making an impact and solving big problems. And dadgummit, Thursdays are, I don't know how this happened, Cam. I think maybe in our strategy call, we need to look at being strategic. Thursdays can be busy for me. I don't know. I don't like Thursdays being busy. But then again, if I moved it all to Wednesday, then Wednesday would be extra busy because Wednesday's already busy. And then I can't do it on Tuesday because we already got stuff on Tuesday. So why would I think I'm just stuck with Thursday being Thursday. As long as Friday is diagnosis,
Friday.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big fan of days ending in Y. And, you just have to make sure that you're following the pattern and staying out. And, while we're recording this, folks, Miss Suzanne is on an airplane by herself. She did not need me to find the gate. She did it all by herself.
Tucson's a small airport. She'll be able to find us just fine.
Yeah, you got a sign because you're going to pick her up here in just a little bit too, right?
Oh, yeah, right after the show.
Yeah. Make sure you got a sign for her so she knows who you are.
All right, since you're making fun of her, I'm going to make fun of you. All right. Is that the same shirt you wore when we recorded on Tuesdays? Because I almost wore my red shirt. I had to change on Tuesday because we were matching.
It is not. It is not the same shirt.
Damn it.
Nice try. This one is a whatever this is.
Linen. That's a maroon, not a red. And
this is a rust, not a maroon. You need to do not adjust your television set, folks.
I'm just impressed you two would even think to remember what the other one was wearing on a different show. So, there you go.
When we both show up wearing red.
Yep.
Yeah. Got
to go switch sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, our guest, Michele, joining us, adds a nice color breakup to our pattern. Yes, you do. It is, and the way I have my screen, if anybody cares, I always put my guests in the middle, and that makes it nice, because I can look at my guest, Michele, today.
This way they know it's not a Christmas episode.
Yeah. That's right. If you had like a wreath hanging around your neck or something like that, Michele, we'd be
next time.
No, I just have my sword. That's it.
That's right. I mean, ready to strike when the dragons come out.
That's correct.
Yeah. Michele, I am. I love chatting with you the other day when we got to know each other, and I do appreciate you being here. And the reason I appreciate you being here is because of what you do. What you do for my brothers and sisters in uniform. One of my passion projects of giving back to the veteran tribe, and you do that. What was the thing that you stumbled into that got you where you are? And folks, she is full time, and she doesn't have to be full time helping out soon to be veterans. I call them fellows transitioning to become veterans and live a great life. What was that catalyst?
Well, first of all, thank you, gentlemen. It's so nice to be with you. I'm sorry I didn't wear my Christmas outfit. I thought that this would be appropriate for today. But it's so interesting. How do you explain something that you can't really explain? So my husband and I have a sales training program, and it's nationwide. Actually, it's worldwide, called Sandler. And we have the rights for Northeast Florida, for the Florida region. And we have been very successful in Northeast Florida and wanted to just scholar a veteran through our sales training program, figuring it would be a great fit for a military member, to just want to get into sales, endless money. You don't need a college degree. You can do anything in sales. You can sell anything. And I found out very quickly after I taught a small group of people that were just recently out of the military how to do a 30-second commercial on how to sell themselves, that most of our military members don't like sales. Otis, can you tell me? It was interesting to find that, sales was scary. They would rather jump out of perfectly good airplanes than to go into a networking event with a bunch of strangers. So it quickly found out that after doing this one little workshop, if you will, for a group of folks that had just gotten out, that they don't like sales. And the main reason was they don't like rejection. They don't like to particularly talk to strangers that they don't know who they are, because there's no collar devices. There's nothing on me right now that you can tell that I am who I am, if it made a difference to you all. But it makes a difference to our military members. And having a conversation with somebody that is not in the military is so completely foreign. So that one veteran that we scholared into our program to go into sales turned into now almost 800 veterans that we have served in a classroom style, with a 98% success rate of them getting careers, not jobs. We don't let them even say jobs when they walk in the door. We talk about careers and, just being whatever you want to be now, because you get to choose. So Otis, from your experience, you probably remember you don't get a choice when you're in the military. Every 3 years, here you go. Here's your new assignment.
Yeah. Well, and pretty much every year to 18 months, here's your new job too, which makes things really interesting when you step out of that cycle.
Yeah.
Is that sorry? This is a variable. We talk military transition so much. I'm zooming into a weird thing here, but is that a variable that guys struggle with, guys and gals, when they get out of like, oh, I got to keep doing this same job? Like, we haven't talked about that, but I can see that being a thing of like, well, what do you mean? So our office, we're going to stay in Cincinnati. Like we're just here and we're not leaving. It's like, that seems like it could take a little getting used to. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Dad?
Me or Michelle?
I was throwing it to you because you have the direct experience. I don't know. I'll open it up. Either one of you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is some truth to that. I mean, the whole PCS, the move thing, Miss Suzanne and I, when we bought this house that we're in, we seriously thought in 3 years, 4 years at most, we'd be like, oh, we gotta move. Well, we ain't, and it's been more than 4 years. So I think the lesson there is, if you find the right place and the right career and the right role, which is exactly what Michelle was talking about. It ain't a job, because a job we think of as temporary, right?
Yeah. And Cam, to your point or your question, we find that because our military has traveled all around the world for so long, that they want to plant themselves in one place. So wherever their last station is, wherever they end up being, usually is where they want to stay. And if it's not, we can help them find another city or another place for them that's a better fit for them. But at least they get the choice. The whole idea is that now you get to choose what you want to do or what you want to be. And, there's endless amount of choices that you have out there just waiting for you. You just didn't know it, or how to translate what you did in the military and be able to put that into words, or to be able to explain to somebody that what you did as a leader in the military translates perfectly into the business community as a leader there. So there's so much involved in just knowing what's going on up here first, attitude, and then behaviors, teach them how to network and do those things, and then teach them technique, a systematic approach to being able to find that career. Because I don't know about you, a lot of people just wing it. Most of them end up back home on their computer, sending out resumes and getting nowhere, getting rejection after rejection. And what does that do to your headspace? I mean, quite frankly, it's depressing. And you wonder why, people, and especially military members, they have the highest suicide rate because they don't feel a connection when they come home. We're helping them find that connection again. This is your new family. We're here to help you and support you. We're not going to leave you.
Can you share how you help them figure that out? Because I can remember, and I'm not going to, unless we dive into that, some of the processes I use, but I remember when I retired, I was told I had to make two decisions, where I wanted to live and what I wanted to do. And they're not mutually exclusive. So,
right.
Yeah. How do you help folks do that, figure those things out?
Yeah, first of all, thanks. It's a great question because those first couple days with us, even before they're actually in the program, is giving them a lot of grace. Some have been out for a little while, some have been underemployed. Others are scared because they're not even out yet and they don't know what they want to do. So, you're dealing with a lot of things like that fear factor. So, we start out with understanding who you are. We got to figure that out first, your identity versus your roles. Your roles are, amazing. You've done great things in your life, but we go through a timeline saying you're here. What happened before and what's going to happen next is what's going to determine what you're going to want to do. So everything you did in the past is great, but we're going to forget about that for the moment. But we want to see where you are from today to the day you retire, to the day you die. What are you going to do in that time frame? And some of them look at that picture, and some lines are very short and some lines are very long. And they say, wow, I didn't look at it like that. What would I want to do that's fulfilling enough to make me want to get up every morning and have this amazing thing called a career instead of a job? Does that help?
Yeah. Well, and that's the whole fulfillment thing that I think so many folks, and not just military. I think it happens more obvious because we had that fulfillment in uniform, in a pursuit of something bigger than ourselves. And when you step out of it, you don't have that anymore, and you don't know what to pursue.
This is a little bit of me kind of devil's advocate, but because I agree with what you're saying, Michelle, of, like wanting the career versus the job. I've also heard this logic before and applied in a different setting, but I just want to kind of square these two, which is too many people are looking so much for the perfect career, for the fulfillment and all those things, where there's also the chance like, hey, if I'm flipping burgers and I'm coaching rugby, I'm happy. Like that, I don't need the job that also makes me happy. Dad, I love what we do, but if I was at McDonald's, I'd still be happy. Like that the rugby is a big piece of my fulfillment. And so there's also that aspect of like, don't let the looking for, the Mr. Perfect forget you finding the thing right in front of you. Well, how do you kind of square those two, Michelle? Yeah.
So think about this. We have a what I would love to do list and a hell no list. And the hell no's are like, I don't ever want to be in office sitting at a desk all day. Don't make me do it. Looking at spreadsheets, I would shoot myself. It would be horrible, a horrible expression, but that's not what somebody would want to do. Let's talk about those things that you would like. You want to be outside. You want to be, managing a group of people. You want to be in project management. What you did in the military directly relates to that. And it would be an easier fit. Now, you can take project management. It's so broad. And let's narrow it down. We have Haskell is a great partner of ours. They come in and talk to them about project management, looks on a large commercial level. And then you could talk about, what a home builder would want, or a project management that has to do with a bank. Our banks around here love to hire our folks because there's project management roles in them. There's HR roles, there's IT. There are so many things that they didn't even realize that you can get a career that you're going to love in a bank. So opening up their aperture, opening up their eyes to see that there are other things you can do with it, either the talents or skills or going back and getting some certifications. Like O2O has a free resource for all veterans, Onward to Opportunity it stands for. And you can go there and get great resources. Commit Foundation is an amazing organization that I absolutely love, that you can contact them when you're thinking about getting out, and they're going to help you get your head straight. So there's things that we do that, the Sandler system is amazing and it'll teach you a system. But if you don't have the thought process of what I'm going to love and what I'm not going to want to do ever, 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 then you're starting out from just winging it. And so back to your point, Cam, about, I can work at McDonald's and I can coach my kids' teams. Absolutely. That's probably not a good fit for what we do at Operation Uniform. We're looking for folks that want careers, that are going to get up every morning and get excited about going back to work. So I love the fact that you'd want to do your kids' sports. Yes. Can you have the balance? Sure. But let's see what that looks like. So we look at all angles. Family, it's got to be God, family, country. God, family, country. That's the way we roll.
How did you go from the sales training? Because Sandler's programs are amazing. Everybody dude, folks, dude, and folks. If you don't know,
is that the pronoun for our audience? Just dude.
Dude. Well, yeah, because I say dude all the time, right? That makes it even weirder that I said it. Bruh. Yeah, that too. If you don't know Sandler, I mean, I'm giving them a plug right now, but I mean, dadgum, they're one of the best sales training programs out there, and the way they do it is amazing. Because I've never gone through it, but I've met plenty of Michelle and her counterparts in the Sandler world, and every one of them are awesome. So back to where the hell I was coming from and wanting to get to. What I wanted you to talk about is how'd you go from the sales trainer to really life coach? I mean, call it career coach, call it whatever, but that's really what you became in doing this.
Yeah. So Sandler actually is a lot of that. So go back to my story when I did this workshop for these folks coming out of the military. It was over at another great partner of ours, Wounded Warrior. They're literally down the street in Jacksonville. Went over to their place, said, I'm going to do a 30-second commercial for them, teach them how to sell themselves to a potential business owner, how to network and all this great stuff. And when I went over there and taught them this, they pretty much looked at me like I had three heads. Everybody in the room, when I said, does anybody want to go with me to a networking event and practice your 30-second commercial? They were like, no. I mean, really, no. That I've never seen a room so scared in my life. One guy raised his hand.
All the guys doing this?
Yes. Nobody was making eye contact. I mean, you got these big burly Army guys. They're looking at me like, who is this chick and what is she talking about? And she ain't from around here, that's for sure. So we had an interesting conversation. This guy, Reggie, who was an Army guy, said to me, Michelle, I don't think you understand something. And I, at that point, was pretty sure he was spot on, right? And I said, Reggie, what's going on? He goes, once we take off these uniforms, people don't treat us the same. So again, thinking about roles versus identity, his identity was so tied up in his roles. Everything that he knew and who he was that uniform. So the first thing I had to think about in that situation was, I have to teach you the IR theory. I have to teach you to understand that your self-image, your self-esteem, your self-concept, and your self-worth is still okay without those roles attached to you. Without that uniform, you're going to be good. And it was a bit of a challenge in that room. But one guy, this guy, Justin, came through our sales training program. We scholared him in. Pat and I, my husband and I, brought him into the sales training world, and he loved it. And after about 6 months, he said, Justin, what do you want to do with your life? You're amazing. You're smart. What do you want to do? We'll introduce you to anybody in town. We have quite a few connections. Who do you want to know? And he said, Michelle, I would love to teach this program to every veteran I know. And I was like, okay. And my husband's all excited. And he goes, but I don't want them to pay for it. And my husband was like, I'm out. Gotta love you.
Like, see ya. Because your husband's been doing Sandler as long as you have, right?
Longer, because I've been out for now almost 11 years, so he's still doing it. He has a training session going on right now in the other training room. So yeah, he does. But the wonderful thing about being in a marriage as long as we have, he looked at me, he goes, Michelle, I could tell you're passionate about this, and it's something you want to do. I said, give me 2 years, still on the books of Sandler. I'll still work with you. But if this is something that works out, I really want to help our military community. And he's like, do what you got to do. I could tell this is something that you're passionate about. So Justin started with us for a little while and then went on. He was medically retired and left ONU. And then I took over, and, God is so funny. I was like, wait a minute, I'm not a veteran, Lord. What am I supposed to be doing here? And he's like, yeah, I equip the unequipped. I'm like, oh, well, thank God for that, because I totally don't know what I'm doing. And started a nonprofit. Pat and I put a couple $100 in the bank and did all the paperwork, and are totally blessed right now. I have about 10 employees. We're nationwide. We're just, I think, making such an impact in this world, but have relationships. Otis, and I think this is something you and I talked a little bit about, is we can't do this alone. And we partner with incredible veteran service organizations out there. that are doing great things as well. So I don't want anybody to ever think like, oh, they're the organization, the one. We're not, none of us can do it without the others. So does that answer your question, or I went way around in circles?
You kind of went off to an interesting area. Let me rephrase my question.
Oh boy.
What in the Sandler training model that you've used for so many years has been like the foundational pieces that you are enabling these?
What chapters from the book did you keep?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that, by the way, that's from the paragraph talker who summarized it.
I can summarize other people. I just can't summarize my thoughts.
Well, I love that. And, you know, I've alluded to a lot of things throughout this conversation. And one is the IR theory, identity versus roles. That's actually a Sandler technique that we teach. It's a lot of the psychology behind the sale. It's understanding what's going on up here before I can even teach you technique. The technique part is very last because it's not as important. I mean, people can get a resume anywhere. We don't care about resumes. We care about the person behind the resume. The resume means very little in an interview process. You have to know somebody. You have to network in order to get that resume in front of somebody. And even then, do you know how long is an average time that somebody spends looking at a resume is?
Like 30 seconds or something.
Yeah. It's about 30 seconds, if that. An HR department, that's how long they spend looking at a resume. The thing that's going to get you the career is this: conversations, whether it's face-to-face or setting up a virtual coffee or doing that. The networking part is by far the key. But in Sandler, it's bonding and rapport, upfront contract, pain, budget, decision, fulfillment, post-sell. That's the system. We teach it almost pure Sandler, but we twist it around a little bit to be in an interview process. So Dave Mattson, who owns Sandler Worldwide, bless our socks off with giving us all the copywritten material. And we provide this for no charge to our veterans, every bit of what we do. So I'm the official fundraiser. I was in sales before. I do it all day, every day now. But we get to give them this as a incredible service to teach them how to transition successfully and comfortably, confidently. Did I answer it that time?
Oh yeah, knocked it out of the park. I think one of the things that's interesting, and I was actually asked this on the podcast a little while back, talking about transition, because I've coached athletes in transition. They asked about similarities there, and one of the things I talked about was how it's kind of this funny like translation game of like you have these two different languages, and it's like we're doing the same dang thing, but it's like I have to translate it over here. Like I could talk about being a captain in rugby, or I could talk about leading a small team independent of management. That sounds a lot better. You know what I mean? Like you translate these things, it sounds really nice. Is there a military equivalent of sales that we don't know how to translate well? Have you found that, Michelle, of, connected those two dots, or what are your thoughts there?
I don't know, Otis. What do you think?
Yeah, you got one?
A recruiter in the military probably is the closest thing, but everybody's in sales. You know this. It doesn't matter what you do. If you have people reporting to you, you're selling them all day, every day. And if you have a boss or bosses, you have to sell them on your ideas all day and every day. If you have a family, I don't care, spouse, if you're not selling them all day, every day, you're doing it wrong, But so is there a direct translation to somebody selling a product or service like the Sandler world? No. But there is a direct relation to how we have to learn the soft skills, if you will, of how to have a conversation with somebody, how to be able to communicate what you've done effectively in your world before to what you do now and what you'd like to do. So, our 30-second commercial is designed specifically for someone to say, these are some of the things I did in the military. But let me tell you this, in my research, what I have found, this industry that they're going for is struggling with these things. My skills directly relate to that. Who do you know that might look for someone with the skills that I just talked about? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I love that. And my kind of part two with it, almost a little bit of a lightning round here, I guess. Could we run through what some of those different connections are? Like I'm picturing like that word game where you're trying to like draw the lines across the middle there. Like one of the ones that comes to mind, I use this example on that podcast, was staff duty. Staff duty management. There's an easy translation there for folks who don't know what staff duty is. What are some of those other kind of easy translation pieces that you've come across?
There aren't any. I mean, honestly.
I found the one. Hey, you guys let the civilian find the one?
My military folks, I just laugh at them. First of all, one of the first days of training, we have a give and take workshop, and we give them new things to what we take away. So we take away things like, don't call me ma'am. You call me ma'am, I'm from New Jersey. That's an insult. I don't care who you are. But it's also a mindset shift. If you understand the ma'am, what it does to somebody, it makes somebody the adult and somebody else the child. So transactional analysis will teach you that, makes you understand, and we teach them the understanding of the adult, parent, and child. So direct translation, first of all, get rid of the acronyms. Get rid of whatever it was that you did, because I don't understand it anyway. And I'm always the good guinea pig. It's like, if I don't get it, nobody else is going to get it, So, if there's a direct translation, you can put it into chat. You can put it into a ton of apps that the military get for free that says, if I did this in the military, this is what you should be doing. Which half the time people are like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to work in a morgue. I don't want to work in a.
What were the tests you used to take in high school that said this is the career?
Yes.
The aptitude test. Yeah, it's like those. Nobody ever does that crap.
And you know what? They're all well and good and they mean well, but you got to get to the person. You got to know, if this is what you did, and there's so much that I don't understand. And let's go to jumping out of airplanes. Or let's go that I have someone that worked on bombs here. What do I do with that? Well, I know she's incredible. She's great with people. She's a great listener. And she's one of my programs team people because she's amazing at, what she did. My other two guys on the programs team are both former military, and nothing that they did other than leadership brings what I need to the table, other than they're crazily adaptable to fit in with my culture. And isn't that what everybody's looking for at the end of the day, is really culture?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to jump back to something Camden asked, and then you answered about the whole sales in the military. And in reflecting back on my career and the number of pitches I did to bosses for ideas and thoughts, it's like, damn, how come Sandler hasn't sold into the military to teach modules and all my leadership training that I did all those years? I mean, because that's every time I went up and stood up in front of the boss and said, this is what I think we should do, I'm selling.
Yeah.
Every time I stood up in front of the boss and said, my team should go on this mission, I'm selling.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Ain't nobody
100%.
teaching it.
No, and it's funny you said that, because when this idea came about and, we talked about what it would be called, and that guy, Justin, that I told you about in the beginning, when we were talking about it, when I called Dave Mattson at Sandler headquarters, the owner, I said, Dave, this is what we're thinking, and I would love to do this. Would you be willing to? And he goes, Michelle, I've been trying to get the military Sandler for years, but they don't understand free. Because he wanted to give them our program.
Really?
They didn't know what to do with it. He was offering it to them free because he wanted to help them, but they didn't understand it. And thank God they didn't, because I don't think it would have been used properly in that way. You would need a Sandler trainer to be able to train them. I'd be afraid that they would want their own people to train, and you can't. You have to be out here in the business community and get beat up enough times to be able to say, this is why we do what we do. This is how to communicate. This is what, what's expected. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah, because my mind was going to a couple of other areas that I operated in, and the boys are still doing now, where I'm thinking, damn, those skills would be really helpful, as opposed to some of the other ways that it's been taught.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I did have one. Yeah, I'm curious, Michelle, because I think, of course, as military brat, I'm a bit biased with this, but I would love if you could paint a little bit of a picture from the civilian perspective of the transition. Like, I think there's all sorts of misperceptions that people have around veterans, around their capabilities, different pieces with that. And of course, it's also a conversation that's been going on for a little while now. So kind of give us a little bit of the status report, in your opinion, of where do we at on the civilian side of the equation?
So when we started this, it was a struggle because I don't think our business community does a good job as civilians understanding what the military folks are going through. We just, we don't. And shame on us. And I apologize to every class that we have here on behalf of the business community. I'm sorry, but we're not going to learn your world. So you're going to have to change for us. In order for you to fit in, you have to forget about a lot of what you've done to fit in. And the perception, I think, overall is that everybody wants to hire a veteran. You've heard this. We're military friendly. We're this, we're that, and good for you. And I call people out now. It's like, really? It's not just the numbers. Who are you hiring? How are you hiring them? What positions are you putting them in? And, are you giving them the value they need? Now, remember, it works both ways. We help people see their value because a lot of our military comes out and they don't understand that. They're going to take anything they can get sometimes because they don't know and understand what they're worth, because they don't know how to translate what they've done. The business community, like that guy, Justin, that we scholared in the program, was underemployed because his employer knew his value, but did not pay him his value. So he took advantage of it. So I'm not saying all business owners are like that. What I'm saying, there are people out there that will take advantage of our military because they know they don't need insurance. They don't need this, and they've got that, and they, all this and then some. But that's not necessarily true. If they haven't served 20 years, they don't get a retirement. I didn't know that. Don't you think most of the business community just assumes that everybody that's ever served gets it? Well, they don't. So some of our enlisted guys, these poor guys serve 7 years and they come out and they don't. They need a career. They need to make the money. So they need to learn how to negotiate. And we teach them that because nobody's going to do that in the business world. And I'll give you an example if I have time.
Yeah.
I have one particular story. There's 100 of these stories, but one particular guy calls me up and he's so excited. He got this career, this position that he wanted. He went through the whole process, and we always tell them, every single one that comes through here, do not accept it until you talk to us. Let us look over the offer, and we'll see if there's any room for negotiation if you haven't already done any negotiating. So he sends over this offer, and it looked really good. There was only one thing. I said to him, what's your reload? Because he was going to get moved. What's your reload package? He goes, oh, I told them I didn't need it. The military gave me one more move, so I'm just going to use that. And I see, right? And I went, oh, no. That's not what you're going to do. Do not sign anything. You call the hiring manager right now or the HR department and let them know that you need their reload package because your military one is not available. And he goes, oh, well, will they not want me? I'm like, no, they want you. Look, you have an amazing offer. Go back to them, because all that HR person's going to do is uncheck that little box that says reload. And they're going to be checked that they're going to pay for it. So he's like, okay, and so nervous about it. He called me back. He was like, oh my gosh, that was so easy. I can't believe that I was going to give up thousands of dollars and use his own move instead of a reload that this very large company was offering him. So it's just a small example, but we have hundreds of examples of people not negotiating because they don't know their value.
Yeah, well, and because I was one of them people, it wasn't the reload, but it was a lot of other things in the negotiation. I was like, I think that's one of the biggest things to help these guys and gals understand is that offer letter is a starting point to talk. That's all it is. It's not your PCS orders that say, go do this. This is your new job in this location, report on this date.
That's right.
And that's a mindset. The other mindset that I pound my fist about with guys, that the military does a very unique thing. The Army in particular is every time you get promoted, every time you go to a new job, you go to a school to get certified, or even in some roles that I was in early on as an operator, we had to get certified every year. I think that would be the equivalent. That'd be more the equivalent of the continuing education type of thing. But what it did to me and what it does to everybody else is it puts you in a mindset of, okay, I'm getting a job. Well, I need to go get a PMP. I need to go get an MBA. I need to, you name it, whatever it is.
Degree trap.
Huh?
I said the degree trap. You can follow that degree trap.
Yeah. It's just chase the next piece of paper on your wall sort of thing. What have you seen in that? Is that something? Because that's a thing. I think. I mean, truthfully, what I tell guys, the VA may be paying for it with your GI Bill or whatever, but you never get your time back. So what's it worth? So what have you seen in that respect?
It's tricky. It's really tricky. It's an individual thing. So there are some that just want to continue and go to school. And I am totally okay with that. But I also give a lot of grace to those that don't want to go to school or don't have a college degree. There are people that come out after 20 years and they don't have a degree and they're beating themselves up going, I don't want to go back to college. And I say I'm a perfect example. I didn't go to college. I went straight to work right out of high school. And I did not go to college traditional. I went to the Art Institute of Seattle, and I think I left and I had maybe 2 credits left. But it wasn't important enough to me. I was in sales, which is the funny story, is because my son to this day was like, Ma, you forced me to go to college. I told you I was going into sales. I didn't need the college degree. I'm like, I don't care. I don't ever want anyone to, ever say anything to you about not having that piece of paper, which is important to a lot of people. So my story a lot of times resonates with some of these folks that are like, I have to go back to school because they're not going to hire me if I don't have a degree. I said, you know what? They're taking that off the resume thing for checking off that box, a lot of them, because your experience translates to the degree of whatever it is that you need to do or they're requiring. But remember, if you don't check off every box, it's okay when you have somebody hand holding you into a position. If you're just going in blind and you're not checking off the boxes, of course, that ATS system that the HR people have is going to kick you out. Mm-hmm. So, yes, you're doing it wrong. If you're not checking off all the boxes, you're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me, and I've told this story on the show before, of one of my ag business professors of saying, it's not our job to teach you how to manage a farm. It's our job to teach you enough so that somebody else can teach you how to manage a farm. And yes. it's a really funny way of putting it. It was definitely an awakening moment for a lot of people in that class, I think. But I think there's a lot of truth, Michelle, that you're talking about checking that box. It is basically, unless you are doing something like super degree specific, it is, can you sit and work well? Yes. Can you persist through 4 years of school? Yes, that's the check they're looking for. And to your point, look, I'm going to say I think 20 years in the Army probably prepares you a little bit more to sit and work for an extended period of time than 4 years of school. But that's just my opinion.
Amen. I'm with you 100%.
So share with us another story of another successful or even better, one of them dudes that just kept pounding his head against the wall, and you just keep trying to say the door's over here, and they can't figure it out.
I have so many stories. There's 2 that come to mind. One gentleman who came through the program, gosh, how many years ago? 5-6 years ago. He came out. He was angry. He was angry at having to leave. He was angry at the new situation. He was just angry. And he came into the class one day, and we're very strict about who we take in. And we take in those that are willing and able. I know a lot of people that are willing and not able, and a lot of people that are able that aren't willing. So they have to have those 2 things to even come through our program. And this gentleman came in, and he, at one point at a break, he was like, oh, and this happened, and I went home and I yelled at my wife, and then I saw my mother and I yelled at her, and I did that. And I looked and I said, come outside with me. And he was like, what's going on? I said, look, I might be short, but I got some big boots. And I'm going to tell you right now, you don't talk to your mother or your wife that way, ever, ever. That's unacceptable. I don't know what you were like in the military, but that's not how we operate here. I said, so if you're having issues at home, look in the mirror. And, these are things that I don't know if it's just me. I mean, my team doesn't exactly do all that kind of straight up talk, but we talk straight up with these guys and girls on what's going on. This you're not in the military. We're not going to talk that way. We're not going to curse that way. We're not going to communicate that way. We're going to speak to each other now as respectable adults, and you're going to see your life change. And I'll tell you, that guy, he came to me the next day. I said, I don't want you coming back here until you apologize to your mother and your wife. And he came back the next day and he was like, I am so sorry to you. And I'm like, me? He goes, that you had to even hear that I acted that way. I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. So that's one. Little things like that happen because of the transition is hard, and we get that. I had another young man who was so incredibly talented and wonderful and smart and had everything he needed to get this career, but he was moving to a very rural area. And I kept telling him his dollar amount that he wanted, and he kept going down lower. And I was like, why are you going lower on the amount that you want? He goes, because Michelle, you know where I'm moving to. I was like, I don't care. I know the company you're applying for, and there's a position that you're applying for that can sustain and could merit what you do to be able to deserve that dollar amount. He's like, I could never ask for it. I said, then don't. But I'm telling you, you deserve it. He went in to the interview in this rural area. He not only got what he wanted, they gave him more than what he was asking for. They gave him a truck. They gave him I don't know how many days off. He called me up and he was in tears. He wrote the most beautiful letter. He's like, I'll do anything for ONU. I'll do anything. I was like, it's not ONU. It's you just believing in you. You've got it in there, but you just need someone to help you and give you a hug and say, it's okay. And if they say no, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, they say no. You move along. You go somewhere else. So it's making sure that they don't feel that the one career that they're going for is the only one out there. Because if they do get a no, it's all right. There's going to be others. Who's next? It's sales.
What do you think is the mental barrier on that? Is it the, like, not necessarily self-worth, because I think that to me, kind of implies that they devalue themselves. I think it's almost more so of understand the value they provide. Is that what you would say there? How would you diagnose is the word that comes to mind, but how would you diagnose that? Yeah.
Yeah. So again, going back to the IR theory and understanding the roles versus identity, their value, their self-value, their self-image and self-esteem and self-worth is so tied to that when that's gone, believe it or not, their identity gets dinged. So it's, we do something on a scale of 0 to 10 and we put them to imagine themselves in a place where it's only you and you have nothing else around you, have nothing tied to you, no roles tied to you. You're not a father, mother, sister, brother, friend, you're not an employee, whatever. None of those things are attached to you. How do you feel on your identity side without those roles? So when you said, I don't think it's a self-worth, it is 100% of self-worth, self-image, self-concept. I don't feel worthy without this uniform, which makes me feel like my identity is strong. I don't feel worthy without it. So it's a tricky thing. And I think I know that's why we have to address those issues first before we can ever teach them behaviors or techniques. All of that is useless if you don't get in here first.
And you're so right. The beauty of the uniform is when you walk in the room, everybody knows whether they know you or not. But it's your rank and maybe not as much back in my day when I first even had what you did on your collar. So everybody knew. Oh, that's the log guy. Oh, he's the intel guy. Oh, he's the infantry guy or the commander or whatever, the operator. So yeah, life is very simple as opposed to walking into a business meeting and going, all right, is the guy sitting at the head of the table the one in charge, or is it the woman that's sitting in the middle of the table, or
right? Yeah, and how to navigate that.
Yeah. Which just made me think of something. Can you share a quick little snippet in that situation that somebody might be able to say, okay, I'm walking into this room. and there's people sitting around the table. What's a little clue and indicator that our audience might be able to say, oh, okay, that's how I find who the HMFIC is.
Wait, what was the acronym you used?
HMFIC.
Okay.
Oh, you need me to spell it out? Head motherfucker in charge.
Okay. There you go. Sorry, I was so naive on that one. Thank you for sharing.
I don't think that's on the official list of military acronyms.
Well, you can use that in class this afternoon, though, and I bet you a lot of people sitting in there go, "Oh yeah, I know who that is."
Oh yeah. Well, let's see if I can help you identify that person when they walk in. One of the first modules of the Sandler system is called bonding and rapport, and really knowing who the players are when you walk in. Everybody that comes to the program, we make them take a assessment called DISC. And I know, Otis, you're familiar with that, DISC. So we find out what kind of style you are, and it helps you identify what everybody else's styles are. So if I'm communicating with someone that is like me, we're going to tend to get along. But if I communicate with someone that's in a different quadrant, it might be a little uncomfortable. That's one technique on bonding and rapport, is making sure we communicate in that same language. But if you're walking to a room full of strangers, hopefully, if it's an interview and there's 10 people and you're on a panel, you have a pretty good idea of who the players are in that room. That's a hope. If you get onto a call and you don't know who's anybody in the zoo, you have to make sure to communicate equally to each and every one. Make good eye contact. Understand that, you're even on a call like this is making sure that I can see what you're looking at, your body language. All of that is very, very important. Your tone, if someone's speaking, much firmer and stronger, you can get in there a little bit, lean in and do that because they'll feel more comfortable that way. But if somebody is leaning back and they're much softer, slow it down, soften up your voice. You don't want to be coming at them this way. It's going to scare them, which I probably just did to you.
Well, it just reminds me of the, back to the networking thing. You get the close talker. Oh. And you know what? I used to back off. Now I'm just like, all right. You want to go, dude? We'll talk close. My nose will touch your nose and you will back down. You whiny little piece of crap. Get out of my space. Cause that's my approach to close talkers now. I'll walk into the ground and I'm just like, let's go, man. I'm tensing up. I'm ready.
So you will not be teaching. You won't be teaching bonding and rapport for us. Thank you very much.
No. Yeah, there's some other instincts going on when that's happening in my little world. But that's
the close talker is hard enough. What about the long talker? The one that you just, you're exhausted. And then you try to find somebody to switch with. Like, oh, did you meet Cam? And then you're like running the other way.
Yeah. Yes. That's why Miss Suzanne and I are pretty good. She's rescued me a couple of times. She'll, hey, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to have those partners you can rely on.
Absolutely.
Man, what I learned, it is a universal thing in the identity, the self identity. I really like the way Sandler, y'all have not paraphrased, but just the way it's so easy to remember, the IR theory. And it's not infrared, folks. It is identity and role. And because that's when I have to say that, so I don't think that. But that is so important, and it's such an important piece when we take the uniform off to understand who we are and what we're going to do. Cam, how about you? What'd you learn?
I was going to say, on the IR theory, I don't feel like I learned it. I feel like it's one of those things that's going to click later down. Like, oh, that's what Michelle was talking about. Because it's swirling, all right? So, Michelle, if you get an email from me, that's what it is. But no, the talking about, like, translating skills, and I kind of asked that, like, sales question. Like, what's the military equivalent? Well, you're selling all the time. Well, okay, I can start telling my rugby boys that they know some sales now. I got a guy who missed practice. I'm going to pick on him a little bit. He missed practice on Tuesday for his physics class. Mr. Physics, ooh, and all that. So I was talking to him about the physics of a mall, Dad, and physics of a tackle and all these things. Like, you can tell your professor you can learn it right here. So now I can tell them they can miss their sales classes because they can learn it out of the rugby field. So there we go. The school's going to love that
one. Sean, don't hold this against him. That's all I got to say.
We have a team 3-2 now. There's no Camdens left on the team, all right?
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking Sean probably be on your side for that, but that wouldn't be good for where y'all sit with the university. So,
no.
Michelle,
gotta play the politics.
What's that?
I said you got to play the politics, right?
Yeah, you do. Michelle, how about you? What'd you learn?
Well, I learned that I really like you two. You're funny. And I appreciate you having me on your show. But, the more I talk about ONU, one of the things that I probably didn't get an opportunity to say is that there's no way I can do this alone. And the staff that we have here are absolutely incredible. We have a mixture of veterans, non-veterans, military spouses, just amazing, great folks that have the heart to serve. So I learned that I should probably talk about them a lot more because they're absolutely amazing. And the partners that we partner with are invaluable. So our success directly relates to those that I surround myself with. This is not the Michelle show by any means. It is everybody else that are smarter and stronger and, more willing to do the things that I don't know. And it's just amazing to have all of them. And now you guys part of that network. So thank you.
Awesome. Since it ain't the Michelle show, how do folks find out about more about ONU? And if they can't figure out ONU and how to spell it, how do they contact Michelle?
That's so funny. When you look at it, people call it ONU. I'm like, no, it stands for Operation New Uniform. So ONUVETS, ONUVets.org. So it's vets plural. .org. We'd love to hear from you. There's all certain ways you can get a hold of us through there. Our phone system, like most people, I think after COVID, nobody uses. I have a landline here, but I never use it. My cell phone, I'm not going to give that out on your show, but you can certainly call our office and it'll go to my assistant. If you want to apply for the program, please, if there's a veteran listening that needs our help, go and apply. A military spouse. If you're a business owner and you want to partner with us or you want to hire our veterans, go to our website. Let us know. We'd love to help you out.
Michelle, thank you so much for your time today and for what you're doing to help my fellow service members transition into their next adventure.
Thank you so much, Otis and Cam. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Cam, run us out.
All right. Thank y'all for listening to today's episode of 10X Your Team with Cam and Otis. And a special thanks to our guest, Michele McManamon. I think I got that right, for joining us today. Remember, you can watch full episodes of the show on YouTube at 10X Your Team. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to pass it along to other lifelong learners in your tribe so that they can enjoy it too. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. As always, that full archive of episodes available at www.10xyourteam.net. Thanks again. We'll see y'all next time.